Welcome back to the Lipoedema podcast. I'm your host, I've said this so many times, like this is what episode 57, and I've just stuffed that up. Hi, welcome back to the Lipoedema podcast. We're your host, Shell.
And today we don't have a guest. This is a very special episode because it's our last episode of the season, and we thought we'd just indulge ourselves in having a little chat together as co-hosts before we say ta-ta for a short little while. How are you, Shell?
Great. Apart from stuffing up the intro after how many
57
episodes, I just 57 episodes, and I just completely lost it. Can I say, I can't believe that this little idea is now 57 published episodes. I'm so humbled by that. That we did it. That we've been doing it, and that we've been sorry, I get a little bit of emotional sometimes. I'm like, it's been amazing. Thank you for supporting me in this crazy idea and keeping me. I always say that you're my anchor. Because I I have this thing where I get a bit carried away at times. And then I just love the way you have this outlook, which is just really grounding for me.
So nice. And look, you have so many amazing ideas, and I guess I think it's so great that we work as a team because we can work out which ideas might be sustainable instead of starting things that we can sustain. And I think that we have such a nice balance of personalities that way. But unfortunately, circumstances have sort of halted our scheduling for a short term, and I say it's for a short term, but it's intimidating to think that it's, at least 2 to 3 months of not being with our audience on a weekly basis. But because we're not scheduling guests at the same time every week, and I'm on maternity leave, I feel like we might have some opportunity to connect with people we may have otherwise not been able to connect with because they can't make a 7 p.m. on a Monday or a Wednesday night. So I'm interested to see on our ad hoc or surprise episodes that we have for the rest of the year, and I don't know how many there'll be, who we might be able to get on.
Yeah, that's right. It's all just a wait and see. If Bub comes out and she's a beautiful little sleeper, eater, thriving, you might have this space to be creative, and we just don't know. It really is a wait and see. But it's also that little bit daunting. We've been doing this for over a year. Every week we sit down with a guest, and it's that's a bit daunting that that's going to just be put on pause for a little while.
I agree. I'm really
exciting
nervous
at the same
about
time.
it. Yeah, I feel like I'm nervous because we can't fulfill expectations of our audience on a regular basis. And so that safety of just being there every week for our audience felt like we were doing something consistently. And we always say, Phil, with conservative management, the things that we do consistently make the most difference. And so unfortunately, we're not going to be practicing what we preach in terms of being co-hosts and Lipoedema podcast hosts just for the remainder of this year. But I do hope that baby is going to be an amazing sleeper and a nice, happy little bub, because God knows after the twins, I deserve that kind of vibe in the house. And then you'll see us for surprise episodes more often. And Bub may be sitting here or just next to me. And we may need to do a little bit more editing of the episodes if I have to get up and break, but times ahead, I think.
It is. It's super exciting. It's like this new chapter that no one knows what's going to happen next. No one knows.
But we are not completely gone. As I said, we are scheduling. We're just taking a break from regular scheduling. And if you would like to be on our podcast, either as a service provider to the Lipoedema community or as a Lipoedema warrior to share your important story with our community, please get in touch with us via our social media, because not only do we want to build up the schedule for 2025 when we come back online more consistently, but if there's a particular program offering this important story that you want to tell in a timely manner, we can accommodate that for you, and we would love to put out some surprise episodes periodically throughout this the rest of this year. So please get in touch with us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, we're always so every guest we have on has been because someone has suggested. Like this is built through the community, like within the Lipoedema Australia Facebook group and people reaching out to us online. Like that's how we build our guests. This isn't so much about Tiana and I anymore. At the start, it was. We were thinking about people that would add value, but now it's just gained its own, like organically grown because of your input. So we really want to keep going in that direction. And I know I've already had a couple of people reach out and want to know more about mast cell activation.
Yes.
So we'll be on the hunt for someone who's an expert in that field to chat to them next in 2025. Oh, is that scary saying 2025?
It does feel weird, doesn't it? Because I feel like 2024 went so quickly. I mean, every day has taken 1,000 years, but in the scheme of the year, it's gone so quickly. It's very hard to describe. But yeah, 2025.
It's super weird. So yeah, so please, yes, reach out to us and yeah, I guess we should share a bit of ourselves, and we actually might do that a little bit more next season as well. But well, Tiana, we all know where she's at, but how's it all going, babe? Like growing this little human, how's your body faring? How's your energy?
It's been a wild ride. We did have a pretty in-depth episode in my to report on my first trimester, and we haven't really talked much since then. So I am a week and a half out from my due date. So things are ticking along really nicely, and I'm just amazed at how much easier this pregnancy has been compared to the twins. Now, obviously, logistically, having two in the belly at once was pretty hard going, and the size wise, but inflammation wise, I was so puffy very quickly with the twin pregnancy. My lymphatic system was not coping. As I look back now, things that I have with the knowledge of lipedema and the lymphatic system that I have now, I would have so benefited in the twin pregnancy from compression wear and manual lymphatic drainage, and all of those things that I do to support my lipedema would have been so beneficial for my twin pregnancy. Just because I was puffy everywhere. My face was puffy, my feet were huge, and it was quite early on in my gestation that all of those symptoms happened. To this pregnancy, and I only started getting like sausage fingers and like swollen feet and ankles probably about 2 weeks ago, which is baffling to me. So I've been feeling good. And Michelle, you mentioned in one of our episodes when I mentioned that after my surgeries, my lymphatic system is working a lot better, which I agree with you. And also coupled with the fact that I've done a lot of work on my lymphatics consistently, probably not during this pregnancy, but before then for sure. So all of those things have contributed to it starting to become an issue now, which I'm finding really fascinating, and I'm liking that a lot.
Absolutely. That would have helped so much along the way. Just that knowledge and that background work that you've already been doing. I know when I was pregnant with Macy, that's my third child. I had to be rushed into emergency cesarean because my toes wouldn't touch the ground anymore. Like my feet were that fat that my toes weren't touching the ground. And I rang my obstetrician and she's like, get in here now. I need to give you a steroid injection for a lunge. You're going in tomorrow. And I'm just like,
wow,
crazy. But then I also had preeclampsia. So I think that was.
Looking at the whole preeclampsia thing, I feel like I'm sensitive to wanting to get that diagnosed really quickly. Like I didn't have it with the twins, but a puppy that I was like, well, that could have been highly likely with other symptoms. And so because I knew about, inflammation and being puffy and everything, I've been really diligent in trying to make sure my pressure is okay and I don't have headaches and all the other things associated with preeclampsia, like just keeping on top of it. But I felt really good. I'm very big and very forward, and my lower back is suffering, and I've got no ankles anymore at the moment, and it's just all part of the last part of the third trimester. Being someone who's perpetually organized, I thought that it would really bother me that I don't actually know when I'm going to go into labor. Because I don't have a planned C-section happening. I would really like to try for a VBAC because I've had an emergency cesarean with the twins and I sort of never got the opportunity to choose that path for myself. In this instance, I'd like a VBAC, and it really goes against my personality to let go and be in the unknown space and not know when it's going to happen. And surprisingly, it's a little bit exciting because whenever something happens, like in my tummy or there's movement or there's a bit of pain, I'm like, ooh, is this like the start of something? Or like it's an exciting feeling rather than an anxious feeling, which is very nice.
Yeah, that's wild, isn't it? So I never went into labor either. Like with all 4 of my pregnancies, like the first 2 were induced and the second 2 were C-section. So I never went into labor because of preeclampsia. They couldn't let me go. But I think that'd be wild, just waiting for the signs. Like, oh, is that something? Is she ready?
That's it. And I'm having dreams now about like, going into labor and the excitement or the chaos involved in like getting the bag ready and like heading to the hospital. And I'm trying to make social plans, being conscious that those social plans may change. I've got a afternoon tea with my dearest girlfriends on Sunday, and we were all just laughing about the fact that we may all be in the car driving to the hospital, in the afternoon. And I just think it's an exciting time. So I'm loving it actually. And it's even nicer that I started maternity leave late last week, and I was so ready to not be in the workspace and to just focus on home and set, like I'd done nothing to set up. So if I had have gone early, it would have been such a rough. Last 3 days, I've really done so much preparation, and I probably need to slow down now because I get exhausted very quickly. And so everything's sort of half done. If anything happened tomorrow, we would be okay, and we've got things in place. Tidy, not tied up in a nice little bow like I usually like, but I feel very chill at the moment about it all.
That is so good. That is so unlike you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. These pregnancy hormones must be doing me such a huge favor because I've never been chill in my life, and I'm like surprisingly chill. So I'll take it. And I'm sure my husband will take it too. Any opportunity for a chill wife, for sure. But one thing that I haven't touched on is I am a year post my first lipedema surgery. So I had my first lipedema surgery in August, the week that we went live with the podcast. So exciting. So, I mean, that was a great milestone for us as well. And I was reflecting in the shower this morning. I actually can't remember when my second surgery was. I think it was early October, like the 3rd of October. So I'm almost a year out from both of my leg surgeries. Can I tell you, my legs have been fantastic. The healing of my legs have been fantastic. The scars of the incision points, you can see them, like the discolored little dots, I would say, is the scars, and mostly just around the ankles where the open incisions were. They don't close those ones off to allow for the oozing. But my legs have been so good, and I have definitely decreased my muscle mass in my legs. There is definitely a bit of lifestyle fat, which is associated with the decrease of the muscle mass in my legs and the fact that I'm not, going for it in the gym and taking things a bit easier. And just the softness that comes from being pregnant, the body softness, feel great. They still look great. The texture, I still have lipedema texture, but it's not as visible and I'm not as conscious about it. The thing is, I still have firmness around the ankles a year later. And, my ankles and feet are swelling because of pregnancy. But apart from that, I've just been so thrilled with the entire recovery process of my leg surgeries.
That is so good. So good. And you do all the things too.
And do all the things. Definitely took a back seat during pregnancy. I had to taper off a little bit. I still got my manual lymphatic massage every month, but I wasn't allowed to go into the pump quite early on of my pregnancy. So as soon as your belly starts to descend, you can't use the pump, the belly part of your pump. And because mine is all attached, I had to sort of stop that. I'm very excited to get back into my pump post baby. Very, very excited.
Yes, and that'll be so good. I think, did we speak to Axel about that? And he said that, get into it after pregnancy. Yep, that was
especially
awesome.
like if I was to have an emergency cesarean, and I'm really hoping that that's not the story for me, but if that has to be the case, after surgery, great idea. Even going back to manual lymphatic drainage, excellent idea, because surgery is very inflammatory on its own. Anesthetic is very inflammatory, so it'll support all of those processes. That natural birth or a vaginal birth, not so urgent, but just so good for me to know that it's available to me for my legs and I can go back to doing something consistently like.
Very cool.
That's
All
me.
exciting.
I know, all exciting.
That's you.
Yeah. How about you, Shel? What's been going on for you? I feel like we haven't caught up about how you've been going for quite some months.
Yeah, I guess not a lot. A lot of the same. I stopped going to the pool over winter because it's a little chilly for me. So I go to an outdoor pool. So I stopped doing that, but I started going for walks. I live right near the water, so it's absolutely beautiful where I live. And so I started going for walks, and I really liked the muscle feedback I got from a walk on the road, on the footpath, as opposed to in the water where you don't get the same. What am I trying to say? You don't get that muscle feedback in the water because everything is supported, which is great for your hips and things, but your muscles don't feel like they're working the same way. And so I really like having a bit of both. I'll try and do a bit of both now that we're starting to warm up a bit. But yeah, other than that, I really been wearing my compression, dry brushing, MLD. I think my husband's cousin is about to open a recovery center. So I'm going to start so they'll have 4 contrast pools. So you go from cold and then warm and then back to cold. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out. That'll be good. I just been tired, mate. I've just been tired. So I haven't been I've got a pretty hard job, very taxing. And so I've been a bit tired this year. This year's just been a bit of a getting through the days. Some days I remember to wear my pumps. Most days I don't. I took my vibration plate into work and I've just brought it home. So it's been 6 months since I've used that. So I'm like, okay, let's start doing some things. But yeah, I've just been tired this year. I'm just tired.
It's so hard when you are tired. They seem like small things, just to turn the vibration plate on or to sit in the pump. But there's so much mental load that goes with making the decision to set those things up and get in it. I can imagine being so exhausted from your job. You have to be on all day at school for your safety and the safety of numerous special needs children. And I can't imagine the energy and emotion that would take for you to then get home to your 4 kids and husband to give of yourself to them and also to do this conservative management. Like, where can you rest? Where's that for you?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'm not very good at resting. I don't sit still very well either. So so that plays into it too. So I guess what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say now. I totally lost what I was going to say.
But the fact that you're getting up in the morning and starting your day with that movement, that must be, if that's the one thing that you can do at the moment, how good, because it supports your entire body. It supports your mental health, emotional well-being. It helps you sleep at night because you get the daylight hours in your eyeballs, your body, like that. If there is something to do, I think you've nailed your choice instead of limiting yourself from the other things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I love walking. I've always loved walking. Like, some days you hurt a little bit, like, my hips are very hypermobile. And if I've had a big day at work, I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh. But it's honoring that as well. Like, we speak a lot about honoring our bodies. If we are sore or if we are tired, then try and rest, try and get that rest in. But, and I've also, that's the other thing I've done. I've started with a new dietitian. Like I struggle because like a lot of our listeners, I have disordered eating patterns. I have had my entire life. So every time I started low carb or keto or did something like that, it just triggered everything in my head, and it wasn't good for me. It wasn't healthy. So I had been listening to a dietitian's podcast, and I really enjoyed his look on things and his scientific background on things and the way he just rips things apart, which are bullshit, and calls them out for it. And so he was doing a group as a fat loss thing. And so I thought, well, let's have a go at that. And so he interviewed me to see if I was, he thought I'd be a good fit for the group. And so this is week 3, I think, or week 4. And I'm just loving it. Like, just eating proper food. Like, I had eggs on toast for breakfast, and it just takes that decision fatigue. Like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that toast, or I shouldn't have had, I put butter on the bread. Oh, I did. Like, I'm done with that. Done.
Wow.
Like, so done. I'm 50 years old. I'm done. And as Beryl said, like when we spoke to Beryl, keto doesn't work for everyone. And it doesn't. And it's not the keto doesn't work. It's just too hard to manage. It's decision fatigue. Like you said, it's just, you really need to free up so much space to be able to diligently do it and get the results that you want.
Yeah.
And
unless you live in a bubble.
Don't have the
and
energy.
You don't live in a bubble.
Yeah.
You don't live in a bubble.
So I don't have the energy for that. So so I'm seeing this dietitian, and I'd love to get him on actually next season, because he's bloody brilliant.
Awesome.
And and it's just amazing, like just eating proper food and cooking proper meals. And this is something that I think we all need to maybe look into, meal planning. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It just saving me so much time and energy. Like, I've got my daughter sitting down now doing our meal plan for the week so we can go and get the groceries. And then I don't have to think about it again.
For sure.
I wake up in the morning. I'm like, oh, that's for dinner. Okay, I'll grab that out. And then I get home, everything's ready to go. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, so the food noise has turned off because I've got a plan sitting in front of me.
There's something
This
so
is what I'm eating
powerful
now.
about that. And I've sort of stopped.
Isn't it?
I stopped meal planning when I became pregnant because I had food aversions, which is very new. I didn't have that with the twins. And then my husband does shift work, so often he's not home. So I'm only cooking for the twins and myself. And so with food aversions, I wasn't really cooking for me because I'd be happy with like whatever made me not feel like I was going to vomit, which might be a piece of toast. So I'm really just cooking for the twins. And if I was to get something elaborate or the usual meals that would satisfy my husband and I, and they'd be like, what's this? I don't like it. We haven't tried it. So I don't want to deal with their complaints as well as
Yeah.
being not super well myself and having a piece of toast. So I've taken meal planning off my agenda for this 9 months, and it's been quite freeing because they're not all eating like the most nourishing diets right now. It's serving a purpose at the moment. So like I'm eating to limit feeling unwell, vegetable foods. Like usually it's chicken and salad wraps or something similar to that. And in the morning, it's always bacon and eggs on toast or on a muffin. So at least I'm not getting not real food, but I'm certainly not, diet is not full of beautiful things like it was before. That's going to come later again. But my twins are happy. They don't complain about anything because they can eat intuitively. What would you like for dinner tonight? Would you like a chicken and salad wrap with mummy? Or would you like a toasted sandwich because we have 5 minutes before you need to go to bed? And they always have nutritious lunches with fruits and veggies and cheese and crackers and that sort of stuff. So they're not missing out.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids are the same, especially teenagers are even harder.
Yeah.
Like I thought teenagers were going to be easy. So most nights, like I'm cooking, like my husband will say, I'm not that hungry because he does shift work as well. Like crazy hours. And so he'll be, I'm not that hungry because I ate my lunch at 3:00. And I'm like, oh, well, I need to eat. So I cook a meal and then someone will be going to jiu-jitsu. Someone's going to work. Someone's going to drumming. And so I've just been putting it like serving myself up my dinner, putting the rest in the freezer. It's like, that's next week's meal done. So like last night we had chicken satay from last week because no one was eating it, and then it all got eaten last night. So I'm like, there you go.
To be so much more flexible.
Yeah. So I think nutrition is a big one for me, and I know Amy, being a stage 1, she spoke about how important nutrition is for stage 1, and I'm like, it really is important for all of us. Like food is so powerful that if I can heal my relationship with food, then I can heal my relationship with my body and I can heal the world.
Heal the world. Like Michael Jackson.
Heal the world. Yeah. But yeah, and I'm still on a wait list for surgery. That would have been almost a year since I had my initial consult
with Dr. Samaya.
That was October, wasn't it?
God.
So it's nearly been 12 months. Yeah, nearly been 12 months. And, I'd been umming and ahhing and like, nah, I don't need surgery. And yeah, more lately I've been like, yeah, I think I will. I'm only 50. Instead of going, oh, I'm 50, why worry? Like, I'm only 50. I'm only 50. So, if I can, if I'm a candidate, if it's all going well, then I want to get myself in the best health for surgery and be surgery ready when that comes up, which I think they said when they call me for my next consult, it'll be 6 months after that. So, we're still September. October. November, December, January, February, March. So that'll be March, April next year.
Right.
If I get a call up in October.
Yeah.
So it's still a long way off. Like I've still got a lot I can be doing because my legs are getting so much softer. Like I can actually now feel the little nodules in my legs, which I never could feel before because they were so hard.
Well,
and now they're all nice and soft and squishy. I can feel everything in there.
Conservative management. I think it's great that you're still on a wait list because you have a choice. And sometimes choice is the only thing that you need, regardless of your decision. The power to have a choice is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. Oh, and I'm also now a board member of Lipoedema Australia. Yeah.
I've been envisaging Shell to be a board member of Lipoedema Australia since we had Jen on episode like 3 or 4 of the Lipoedema podcast. I was like, Shell is definitely someone who should be on the board of Lipoedema Australia. That's fantastic. So thrilled. These board members
Thank you.
You guys just work so hard for us, generous with your very effort. I can't wait to see what you all do this year.
The board, they're just amazing women. I work in special ed, right? So, and we have this thing where a student will watch someone who's we call it the 18-month-old sibling. When they've got a sibling, they can watch and they'll watch from afar, and then they might start mimicking, and then they join into play. So it takes that time, but they need that older sibling to show them, or an older student to show them how to do things. And I feel like that's me at the moment. I'm just sitting on this board meeting, and I'm just listening to the language and the way people are interacting. I'm learning all these new words, and I'm just, because I'm from education, I'm not from corporate.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons I really wanted to join, was I want to learn more about collaboration. I want to learn more about, all that strategic side of things that me being in a classroom by myself, I don't get to experience. So that was one of the big driving factors, and also to bring those skills back here. And I'm very excited, very excited. I'm meeting with Megan today, and she wants to know sort of what my plans are, what I want to work on, what I want to bring. That'd be pretty cool.
Fantastic. I can't wait to hear more. We'll have to get, maybe we can get one of our first episodes next year when we launch back for our new season, get Jen and you on to talk about what's happening in 2025 for Lipoedema Australia, because we always love having Lipoedema Australia on, and now I'm spoiled to have someone on every episode who's part of Lipoedema Australia. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, so I'm excited.
And I feel like we have reached the half an hour of our episode. This is our last episode of the season.
I know.
Yeah.
Crazy.
If you do want to keep in touch with us, please, probably the best place is our Instagram. We also have a Facebook and a YouTube channel. I think Instagram is where we sort of put out the most posts, but we try and spread them across all of our social media platforms. Please keep in touch, and please let us know if you have a guest in mind or you would like to be a guest, because as I said, we will come and surprise you with episodes throughout these next few months. And we will be back online more consistently as of late January next year.
Yeah, but we're also going to put out some little highlights from our time so far to keep you entertained throughout these next couple of months. So that'll be a bit cool. We're letting the AI come up with some highlights for us, and let's see what they think has been the best and how it plays out.
That's so fun. When you see a reel from us, we'll be like, oh, what does AI think is a meaty part of our episode?
Yeah. So thank you everyone for supporting us and for listening, and we'll be back with another member of our family in the new year.
Yeah. We'll introduce her soon. Bye, everyone.
When we started the Lipoedema podcast, we relied on word of mouth and existing connections.
Our following has happened organically, and we are so honoured by your support.
As we learn more about the world of social media and algorithms, we have a request.
When you are listening to our podcast or watching on YouTube, let us know what you think.
Hit follow or subscribe.
Leave us a comment or write a review.
The more engagement we get, the more our message is shared.
And the greater our reach to those women suffering in silence.
Thank you for listening to the Lipoedema podcast. Lipoedema and its symptoms vary from individual to individual. The opinions and advice voiced in this podcast are of a personal nature and used for educational purposes. Please take away from this podcast what resonates with you, and please see your GP or preferred specialist for diagnosis and healthcare. We are Shelley and Tiana from the Lipoedema podcast. Until our next episode, bye for now.